South Africa, one of the most beautiful and diverse countries in the world, filled with immense potential. But beneath the surface lies a problem that's tearing at the fabric of our society: corruption. From the highest levels of government to local municipalities, corruption has become an almost daily reality, costing the country billions and affecting millions of South Africans. But what exactly is corruption,
Says
and
her
why is
death
it so
was
difficult
not in
to root
vain.
out?
At the time of her passing, she had flagged fraudulent transaction within the department.
And they provide 108 rain suits of various sizes for men and women at a total cost of 1.8 million. That's 17,000 for each rain suit, one.
Let's start with the basics. Corruption is the abuse of power for personal gain. This can happen at all levels, whether it's a bribe to avoid a traffic fine or billions of rands lost through large-scale misuse of public funds. Here in South Africa, corruption manifests in different ways: bribery, nepotism, fraud, and embezzlement. But what's most concerning is how ingrained it has become in our political and social system.
Only primary school in this village, from cracking walls to ceilings caving in, it's in a dire state.
Many people from parents here at our community, they've taken out their children so that they can study somewhere else because they see that the school is no longer safe for their children.
Corruption doesn't just affect politicians and big corporations. It's the people who suffer the most. Poor service delivery, failing infrastructure, and a lack of accountability in government offices have become the norm. The lack of proper healthcare, education, and infrastructure continues to widen the gap between the rich and the poor. According to a 2023 report, South Africa lost nearly 1.5 trillion to corruption between 1994 and 2020. Let's talk about some of the most notorious cases. Many of you will be familiar with the term state capture, a term that defines how powerful private interests like the Gupta family influenced the government decisions during Jacob Zuma's presidency. This network of corruption extended across several state-owned enterprises, including Eskom and Transnet, siphoning billions of rands. But state capture wasn't just about money. It undermined trust in public institutions and brought the country's power grid to the brink of collapse. As a country that has suffered corruption, we still feel the impact of corruption through the consistent power cuts and the economy that still struggles to recover. While state capture made international headlines, there's another form of corruption happening at the local level that often goes unnoticed. Local municipalities are where much of the daily interactions with the government happens, from water supply to waste collection. But these services are increasingly neglected. And it's not just the big cities. Small towns, rural areas are often hit the hardest, with their limited resources being siphoned off by corrupt officials. The result? Roads full of potholes, empty taps, and no progress in sight. So basically, this thing yenziwa abantu aba-electwe to do that particular job, but then they just decide to do otherwise. And in the end, who gets to suffer? You and I, the innocent person on the other end. It's always important to have whistleblowers because they tend to expose the other side of corruption that the normal way of law enforcement wouldn't even dare to look at. So it would be unfair for me to proceed with this video without mentioning those who have lost their lives in the line of trying to expose crime and corruption that was happening in closed doors. So for me, it feels as if I should also mention that there is a need, and it's also important for I don't know whether I should say the government or the law enforcement, to make sure that they protect such people at all costs, because they are the only ones who are bringing shady things to light, things that wouldn't have normally surfaced, but and at the end of the day, they risk with their lives. But whistleblowing comes at a high price. Many face threats, intimidation, and even violence for speaking out. South Africa has seen many whistleblowers assassinated for revealing the truth. Everyone has a role to play, and the change we need to see begins with us. So what am I saying? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that when you see something wrong, don't just keep quiet. Even if you can't do anything about it, but don't keep quiet. When you see it, report it. You can even become anonymous. There's no need for you to just see something happen and you say nothing about it. If you see it, you report it. There are places and platforms where you can report whatever you need to report. So how do we fix this? It's not going to be easy, but here are a few ways we can begin to tackle corruption in South Africa. Strengthen transparency laws, implementing stronger anti-corruption legislation, and enforce transparent measures in government contracts. 2. Empowering civil society. NGOs and watchdog organizations need to be supported to hold corrupt officials accountable. 3. Investing in digital solutions. Technology like blockchain can be used to track public funds, making it harder for money to disappear without accountability. 4. Protecting whistleblowers. Strengthen laws that protect whistleblowers from retaliation and ensure their safety.